So I remember being sitting in the treatment center, and the girl I was seeing at the time, I remember telling her, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm about to go away. I'm going to go to get some help, and I'm going to be gone for a while. It was very ominous and very cloak and dagger. I really wasn't open to anybody. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. At work, I took vacation, and I told people that's what I was doing. I was going away for vacation, and that story, that lie, only worked for about a week, maybe 2 weeks before people started asking questions. And so this really wasn't anything different. About a week or two, maybe 3 weeks after starting rehab, I saw Facebook photos being posted of the traveling, and it crushed me, and I was frustrated, I was resentful, I was angry, and I didn't know what to do. I was running through this emotion, and my coping mechanism at the time was to default to those emotions, anger, to default to frustration, and I would then, the secondary part of my brain would kick in and try and justify that emotion and come up with excuses. Oh, they're doing this to me because reason A, B, C, D, E, because they're this kind of a person, because I'm this kind of a person, or they're trying to do this to me, and how dare they, don't you know? And I'd come up with all these excuses to justify this emotion. And then once I had those excuses, the part of my brain that came up with those excuses is different than the emotion that I'm feeling. And the third step, the third wave, was then me justifying to take action. So I'd come up with event that I've constructed, and my rationale I would make excuses for, and then my coping mechanism for A, B, and C was to go out and celebrate, to be using that to wallow in my sorrows, because there's always someone you can find that's people love dogpiling on, so there's always going to be that kind of camaraderie that you're going to be able to sort out. And I never really had that problem where I couldn't find anybody. I'm very good with people, but it's for the wrong kind of reason, the wrong kind of purpose, the wrong kind of friendships that you start to develop, that I started to flourish in. And when I started to identify that was a pattern in my life that I am creating, that I am actively partaking in, that I am facilitating and encouraging, once I started identifying that those moments are taking place and I have part in that, I also have part in then the problem, yes, but I can take ownership of that. But then that gives me permission to move forward into a solution. And what that means is I'm able to then take that problem and, yes, I'll map it out, what happened, but then I'll also take into consideration what I can do about it. What part of me is in this situation, what part of me is feeling this way, and what is it that I can do to help. Some relationships are broken so far to the point, I've ruined relationships so far to the point that there is no salvaging them. And the most I can do now is make amends. And the most I can do now is love that person from afar. And the most I can do is support and encourage them and send them positive thoughts, because the toxicity that I added into their life isn't going to make any value, where there's no more good that can come from me making amends that's going to have a positive impact. Like there's horrible things in my life that are the direct result of the actions and decisions I've made. And I take ownership of that, and I respect that there are people out there who are also struggling, but I also identify that, yes, I have my struggles and I'm working on them too. And I'm not perfect, and I don't pretend to be. I'm still actively in my addiction, where I get better every day. I wake up and I focus on the next 24 hours in front of my face. I map out my emotions, yes. Identify the hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. So if I'm feeling any of those, then I know that that's probably not the best mindset to start making decisions. If I'm feeling lonely, what part of me is feeling lonely? If I'm feeling angry, what part of me is feeling angry? If I'm tired, what part of me is feeling tired? And I come to those, mapping out the conditions around those. What can I do to help mitigate them? I can't ever not be tired in my life, but what I can do is make sure I'm sleeping. I can make sure I'm getting the right exercise. I'm making sure I've got the right meal plan, financial plan, health. These are things that I can proactively look after in advance that will help mitigate those eruptions of emotion and frustration and resentment from happening. Those things still do happen, but I help mitigate that now thanks to my path in recovery, thanks to this journey. And part of that is relationships. Part of that is relating to myself, relating to others. There's people that in my life that I have now that I wouldn't have had before if I didn't make this choice to join recovery. And I'm thankful for that because I never would have met them had I never surrendered to my alcoholism, my addiction. What I do want to share is there's parts where I want. Everybody says, they're like, oh, I want to be happy and successful. And what I've come to terms with is my measurement of success has changed. What I thought I wanted in my life as a young Jason isn't what I want as a 37-year-old Jason. I think there's a better life out there, and it includes living its life to its fullest. And it does not include alcoholism or addiction. And these steps now in recovery, this journey, I don't want to say it's easy. It's not. It's hard. And I would admit that it's probably harder now in recovery than it was before when I was just in denial, where I don't have these escapisms because I would take alcohol and other drugs to help escape this emotion that I'm feeling right now. And while I don't cope in that way, I have other healthier ways to cope. But along the way of this recovery path, along the way of this journey, there are times where I do want, one day, I remember being young, I was like, one day I'm going to have a house and a white picket fence, I'm going to have a family, and there's going to be, a garage, and there's a car in there, and this is all going to be mine one day. And I get to the point where in order to have a family, you're going to need to have a relationship, and you can't have a relationship unless you're at a solid foundation with yourself and can relate to who you are so that you can then offer the best of yourself to another person. And I don't enter into a relationship to complete me, but I enter into a relationship when I am completed, when I am whole, when I love who I am with where I am, so that when I do enter the relationship, that I offer the best of myself to that person and help bring out the best in them. And that truly is a way that I can relate to someone. And the alternate flip side of that is alienating them and making them feel unloved. And that's the opposite of what I want for someone. And that's not what I want for myself. And in order for me to do that, I have to stay the course. I have to stick, I almost said, to the mission, where I have to, that the path of recovery is not something where someday I'm going to get there. It's something every day that I'm doing, where I habitually look after my health. I habitually look after my financial plan, my meal plan, working out. These are parts that I can help set up in advance, and that takes up 90% of my day. And then the rest of the 10% of my day, if I have time to say hello to some friends, let you know how much I appreciate you, how much I value you, then today is a good day. Not every day is going to be amazing, and there's still some lessons I'm going to have to learn, and they're going to be hard. But at least I have the knowledge, the skill set, and the experience to know if I've been able to do what I've done, then I can handle what's coming next. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. You take care and have fun. Bye.